Do you feel the pressure to grow your business, but doing so feels a bit like drowning? Welcome to Slow Growth Business, the show for business owners and leaders to quiet the noise and lead your business to success, one day at a time, slow and steady. If you feel your business is running you and you're ready to run it, you've come to the right place. Now, here are your hosts, business coaches Jimmy DeGroat and me, Kyle Bullock.
Hey everybody, you ever have great days and not so great days? Kyle and I are both having a not so great day, but we are committed to doing this. Not number one, we're committed to doing this, but number two, we realize that we can't always have fantastic days, and so we get through them. We fortunately have each other.
Yeah.
And so,
My mom used to say there's no such thing as a bad day unless you've lost someone that you love.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think about that often. And I wouldn't even say today's a bad day. I think there's a lot of us who are listening out there who would say, I'm tired, I'm afraid, I told you, I'm feeling overwhelmed. And so we express that
yeah,
in all
yeah,
kinds of frazzled ways.
yeah.
But it's nice to remember that it's not a bad day, you know? It's just another day, and unless you've lost someone you love, those are bad days,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then they're just a day, and then you have another day ahead of you. So
Well, Kyle and I often count our blessings, and our blessings are being able and being privileged to talk to you folks
yeah,
and being involved
so,
in your lives, and especially our customers, where we can sometimes help put a smile on their face or pull a little load off their shoulders, right?
hope so.
So,
I hope so.
uh,
Plus, like you said, we have each other, and if you're listening out there, man, that's such a nice thing to have a partner in your business or in just your profession or whatever
yeah,
that you can just sit down and like when you know you got it good because you can sit down and both your shoulders kind of go down a little bit
yeah,
and your tone kind of goes down a little bit and you can just be like, all right, I can just let this one out, this is how I feel.
yeah.
And that's huge. That's
But
important.
that's a perfect lead into our topic today, which I wanted to talk about. I had it on my heart, and I just hit record on my uh, video camera here right on the computer, and I did a training for our stores that watch our weekly sales training, and I just spoke from the heart about communication and the ability and I think privilege, but also the luxury we have at our fingertips to be able to communicate in very honest and very real ways with our people. And like Kyle was just talking about the privilege to be able to talk to a partner. But you know what? Even if I'm an owner in the business, to be able to sit down with my manager and just say, I'm having a crappy day and and be vulnerable with that person in that moment, but how much great can come out of it. And we've been doing the sales training and management training videos now, and they're on our website. People watch that. But I always tell people the biggest part of this is the communication and the conversation you have afterwards as a team. That's gonna build your culture. It's gonna build empathy for one another. It's gonna build professionalism. It's gonna build teamwork. It builds so much if you have good communication. So that's the topic today. Is just how do we just improve the communication in our businesses? Kyle, do you got anything off the bat on this?
Yeah. There's the one, and we may have talked about it on this podcast, but we can talk about it again.
Yeah,
Um,
over and over again.
I was thinking of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
By Dr. John Gottman. For those who know Dr. Gottman, he was uh, a marriage and family therapist and was keen on understanding how people communicated with one another. And he got so good at working with couples, thousands of couples, I think, over a very, very long career, and understanding the communication patterns that after a session with them, infamously, he was known, or famously, he was known as someone who, if you had a conversation and he watched you and your spouse having the conversation, he could determine not only whether or not you and your spouse would get divorced one day, but he would name the number of months it would take before you would be divorced. And he had
That's
alarming accuracy.
incredible.
I don't know if that's the thing of a legend that psychologists would share with one another, or if that was actual fact. You can look that up yourselves.
All
But
right.
I kind of believe that it was. I kind of believe it. It's one of those. I kind of
All
believe.
right.
He says there's 4 bad communication styles, and I start here because there's no matter how much good communication that you do or how clear you think you are, if you have one of these 4 communication styles, it will it will toxically poison your environment. And when we say when someone's toxic, we're really talking about these communication styles. You'll see one of these 4 things, if not a combination of them. All right.
All right.
Now, so Gottman's 4 horsemen of the apocalypse is criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling. So let me go through those 4. And by the way, I add a 5th one that's sometimes. We'll call it like, not a horseman, but maybe like a footman, a foot soldier of the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And that one is sarcasm. And it's
Okay.
not sarcasm for humor. It's sarcasm for serious. So
Yeah.
when you're sarcastic with people, and this happens in a lot of organizations, we like to be sarcastic with one another because it's
Yeah.
it's something funny and
It's passive aggressive, right? All of this other stuff.
absolutely passive aggressive. And when
Yeah.
it's funny and people are in on the joke and they get it with one another, they think it's a blast. It's funny and they laugh. But if they don't laugh at your sarcasm, then they take it very poorly. Because sarcasm is based in some kind of truth, and it's pointing out and highlighting a truth that's probably uncomfortable. And if you're doing it and you're being serious about it, then it's passive aggressiveness. And people really hate that. So I don't like to use it at all if I can in my team culture or in my relationships because it's risky. All right, so that's that one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me go through these 4 real quickly.
Criticism.
But criticism, we can define this as you're verbally attacking someone's personality or character. If I told you, Jimmy, you are an untrustworthy person, or you're so lazy, Jimmy. You're so lazy. I'm qualifying, and I say you are blank. I'm telling you, there's something about you as a person that I think is bad, negative, wrong, right?
Right.
A
Right.
couple ways to fight this and have good communication. One is remember that the person is not the problem is the problem. So don't talk about the person, talk about the problem. Jimmy, you are late to work. Let's talk about your lateness. I don't want to say you're so lazy, Jimmy. I want to say what's going on and why are you late to work? There's a problem, you're late to work. I want to focus on the problem.
Okay.
You can also use expressive statements. Usually we use criticism when we're angry or frustrated at somebody about something. So instead of saying, well, you, Jimmy, this and you, Jimmy, that, let me express by saying, Jimmy, I feel blank when you do blank. I feel
Right.
frustrated when you don't
Yep.
show up to work on time. Why are you not coming to work on time this last week? Now we've separated the problem and I can express how I feel, and that's great communication. All right.
Yep. Yep.
Next up is contempt. Contempt is looking down on somebody as though you're better than them. So there's a lot of insults or kind of like abusive, attacking language. Where like, if you could only rise to the occasion, Jimmy, man, if I never have these problems, Jimmy, and yet you always do.
You
Right?
always, yeah, and the key word there is always. That's often used, isn't it? You're always like this. You always say that. You know.
You never, always and
You
never are
never.
dangerous
Yeah.
words.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
You're never on time, right? Well, that's not true. You can be on time. What's going on there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So one way to fix contempt is to get off your high horse and build a culture of appreciation. right? Appreciate other people. I said it this past weekend when we were at a trade show, and we talked about this at length with them. You can't overdo appreciation. You cannot overdo genuine appreciation.
Right.
You just can't overdo it. So do
Right.
more of it if you're doing it. All right. Third is defensiveness. You tell me something that you're upset with me, or that I feel attacked on, like you don't like one of my decisions in the company, and so I'm gonna start putting blame on something, or on you, or on someone else. You don't like the idea, Jimmy? Well, that's not my fault. I was just talking to the developer, and I don't like what they came up with, and that's clearly what's going on over there. Jimmy, don't get mad at me. You're the one
Right.
who doesn't tell me to clock in on time, and you don't blah 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 blah. So when we start getting defensive, you gotta shut up for a second. Just take responsibility, especially as a leader.
Mhm. Yeah.
If the business isn't going the way you want it, if the team is not jiving the way that you hope they would, if things are not falling in line and smoothing out, if you're the leader, it's you. So take responsibility and say, it's on me. Guys, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I screwed up and I want to look in the mirror,
Yeah.
okay, and figure out why. The last of the horsemen is stonewalling. You come to me with an issue, or I see there's a conflict, and I put a stone wall up and I pretend like it's not happening, or I'm just
Mhm.
not going to talk. You can come at me all day, and I'm done. My arms are folded, and
Right.
no. So you need to be able in those situations, if you're a stonewaller, you need to be able to confront the issue. And the way you do this is maybe you don't need to jump straight into the conflict because it could be overwhelming, but you do need to go away for a minute and say, I will be back. One of my favorite strategies a professor taught me was when you're mad at someone, like a spouse or a colleague, tell them, I am not talking to you right now. Give me insert time. I need to take
Mhm.
30 minutes and then I will come back and we'll talk then. Then walk. Go for a walk. Literally,
Mhm.
come back and have the
Yeah.
conversation. But hold yourself to the fact that you will have the conversation and you will deal with this. So I'll cap all this off with we just saw one of these at work. In fact, probably saw multiple of these at work in our frustrating day today, where there's a culture where perhaps there are leaders who are ignoring problems in their culture. They're
Mhm.
stonewalling, and their culture is responding through defensiveness, criticism, and contempt, right, Jimmy? You know what I'm talking
Right.
about today?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's how they responded. The culture responded with another dysfunction. And so you see why these are called the four horsemen, because they ride in tandem. When you see
Mm.
one, you start to see it more and more in the culture. And
Yeah.
so while rainbows and sunshine are over here, and the leader's like, everything's fine, we don't like conflict, we don't want to deal with problems, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
When you get
Yep.
into the culture, they're responding with criticism, contempt, like, how dare you
Yeah.
inconvenience me to bring your problems because you don't get why my culture is great, you know? Okay.
Yeah.
And we're like,
No, you
okay.
didn't.
No, you didn't. And now the thing begins to unravel. And then what happens in stores all over is we start to hear this issue. I have a people problem. I can't keep good help. I can't
Yep.
find good help.
Yep.
This is a big one. People are just don't want to work. That's defensiveness, by the way. That's blame placing.
Yeah.
People just don't want to work. I can't get good applicants. These
People
are all
don't do what I tell them to do.
right.
Yeah.
Right? They're lazy. So that's
Yeah.
all examples of defensiveness. And by that point, we've already known, okay, there's a problem in paradise,
Yeah.
and it's going to be one of those four things.
Yeah. It's I keep thinking of this story when I first started off in the jewelry business, and we were a member of a, a country club, and my country club had a little a golf outing, and what do they call it? Best ball, a best ball tournament, and I golfed with my partners, Joe and Larry, And it was best ball, and I hit a ball out across the creek and lost it. Okay, we lost it, but I thought it was a good shot. I thought I knew where it was. And anyway, so we got out there, and I said, "Guys, I think I got the best ball." And Joe said, "I don't know. I think yours is in the creek. I think yours is gone." And well, anyway, so they were looking for it over there. I was looking for it over here. I dropped the ball, and I said, "Here it is." Okay, and uh, and then we played it. Joe was not happy about it because
Mhm.
later on, and the story he goes, "I know you dropped the ball because I know where your ball went. And I saw it, and it was in the creek." Um, he said, "I know," and you know what I did just then? I said, "You're right, I did." I said because first of all, I didn't think it was such a big deal. And second of all, we were all looking for, we all seemed to have lost our ball. So I thought I was moving play along. Um, and he said something very important to me that you've said to me too, and I love it. And you weren't speaking to me at the time, but we were saying how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? How you do something is how you do everything. And Joe just said, listen, okay, yeah, you dropped the ball, and that's innocent and all that kind of stuff. But what about when it comes to money in the till? Or what about when it comes to this piece that's gone that we can't find? You know, how does that make you look? And I thought about that. Anyway, the reason I tell the story is because I learned very on just own your problems, own your faults, confess, and move on because everybody or most people are willing to give you a shot, give you a second shot, let you grow through it, and especially to share with others what you've grown through or what you've learned through it. Does that have anything to do with what you said? I think it sort of does, doesn't it?
What you said reminds me of Ted Lasso and how all of this has to do with communication. There's a great TV show. If you haven't seen the TV show on Apple TV, I love the show. It's one of my favorites. But here's the premise for everyone who hasn't. Coach Lasso is an American football coach who is hired by a English
Yeah.
football league.
Yep.
And behind the scenes, the owner of the football league, she wins the football league over in a nasty divorce settlement. And she and her ex-husband love this football team, and she's going to drive it into the ground and make him suffer for it, right? She's just
Yeah.
spiteful. And the way she's going to do
Right.
this is by hiring an American football coach who is going to stick out like a sore thumb and knows nothing about the sport. So she hires him, expects him to run in the ground. Turns out Ted Lasso is the sweetest, most honest, most cool person of character in the world, right? He's just one step below Mr. Rogers. And
Yeah.
he walks into the locker rooms, and the whole culture from the water boy to the athletes to the management, everybody is engaging in some level of Gottman's Four Horsemen. It's just a nightmare of a culture.
Sure.
And he just comes in slowly and quietly every day, does the right thing, little by little. And the whole show shows what happens to a culture when you are faithful to healthy communications. And Ted is not perfect. He has these moments where he fails and he confesses, like you talked about. He's
Yeah.
usually very confessional, like, I screwed up.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
watch what happens in the culture and how people realize when the leader screws up and he takes ownership and responsibility, he doesn't place blame, and he deals with his problems. Maybe I can too. And it
Right.
takes, the show's 3 seasons long. But then you kind of get to the end of it and you look back and you go, well, that actually happened a lot faster than I thought it would. To me, that's a beautiful picture of what happens when you go into your cultures doing the small right things every day. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. And when you communicate with health and generosity and humility regularly,
Mm-hmm.
big things happen over time. It
Yep.
seems slow at first, but it massively changes the culture, you know? That's what
Yeah.
I think of when you share that story.
Yeah. It does. And for me, I always tell the story about I came into a store that had veterans there, and I was the young kid. In fact, I was the youngest one there. And I just said, listen, nobody's managing this store. And that's not uncommon for really no central leadership. We just kind of run things the way Pops used to do it, kind of thing. Um, and I said to the team, I said, nobody's running the store. I'm going to run the store. Okay. I'm going to be the manager. And I can't do it without you guys because you're all a lot smarter than me. And you've been here a lot longer. So I'm going to learn a lot from you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the decisions, but I'm going to make the decisions based upon getting input from you folks. And anyway, but that helped me. That vulnerability, and I have no other better word for it than vulnerability. Showing my vulnerability actually raised me, their whole thought of me as a leader in their eyes. And I thought, boy, you know, it's almost let's call it a Christ-like thing, right? I mean, and he washed the disciples' feet for crying out loud, you know? And so, I'm not trying to build myself up from that. All I'm trying to say is just like Kyle said, folks, and I did the same thing. I showed that I have flaws and that I wasn't the master of the universe. And people got behind me because of it. So it's a
Hmm.
beautiful thing. And I think in your organization, if you open up communication to show that empathy, vulnerability, I think great things can happen from it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm overwhelmed today and have a lot on my mind and spinning numbers of plates.
Yeah.
As we record this, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon for me, so the business day is drawing to a close soon. And the thing that I want to do now, I'm glad we talked because I've just kind of have a habit of I'm going to go from one thing to another
Yeah.
and get stuff done. And this is, I think, where communication breaks down. Um, I promise you right now that my team right now feels some level of stress that I'm feeling because we're all dealing with
Well, you've got some chaos going on in your store right now. I know that.
right, right, and it's build. Let's just put it, it's
Yeah.
building related chaos, so it's inconveniencing everybody in the building,
Yeah.
and so everybody's feeling that frustration. And I need to take a moment and just walk the block before I go back
Yeah.
into the store because I know they're feeling it too. And if I go in this state, then it's a form of stonewalling. I'm just going to go in there and deal with the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and snap at people. And
Yeah.
and that's not what people need or want. So I'm glad that we talked about this. It puts a reminder in
See,
me.
folks, yeah, this is our therapy. Our therapy is
Yeah,
talking this through. So
yeah,
hopefully we're helping you guys. So,
yeah. We run enterprises and things, and we got lives, and then at some point we're going to go home to our spouse and our family, and they got issues too.
yeah.
And you can't just go and slouch on the couch every night and hope that it all just goes away. So,
Right.
yeah, as this is great just to just to circle around the block, go back in with a renewed sense of good communication, and just sometimes be honest and say, you know what, the stress of today is bugging me. It's
Yep.
driving me nuts, and I'm
Yep.
sorry, and that's my fault. And let's
You,
figure it out
you know what
together.
I do what I do in situations like that? I walk in with a bunch of dillies from Dairy Queen, or I walk in with a bunch of sundaes or something like that. Just because it's kind of like we can't take ourselves too seriously. Gosh darn it. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's just laugh at ourselves today. Everybody subscribe. Remember to subscribe. Whatever format you're on, hit subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the little bell so you get notifications. And here's another little favor. If you like this and you think this is neat, share it with somebody. Just copy that URL up at the top and send it to somebody. Hit the little share link because if we're somehow a little light to your day, you can be a light to somebody else's day by sharing what these two crazy guys talk about on a weekly basis.
Go out there and be awesome, everybody.
All right.
See ya.
We hope you leave this episode a little better than when you first began. If you'd like more resources to grow your business slow, steady, and consistently, check out our on-demand video catalog at trainretail.com. Or if you have a question or frustration we can help address in your business, write to us about it. We love to help solve big, ugly problems. So hit us up at kyle@trainretail.com or jimmy@trainretail.com. Good luck out there, and we will see you next time.